We have our Ferrari and are flipping $400 to a Ferrari series, right? We have finally accomplished the goal. It's unreal. But along that journey, I have acquired a collection of cars that I just can't bear to get rid of. I accidentally bought one and then I liked it, so I kept it. Then I bought another one, I liked it, and I kept it. Now, I just have way too many cars, not enough storage, not even intentionally. Every one of them is from the 90s. Today, I'm gonna walk you around on a tour of all of my 90s cars are just starting to become overwhelming. Let's check out all these toys behind me. So hey, welcome to Flying Wheels, and my name is Craig from Flying Wheels, and I had this series that became mildly popular called Flipping $400 into a Ferrari, where I started with an initial investment of just $400. Bought a car, fixed a car, sold a car. Wash, rinse, repeat, and I did it over and over until I have what you see right here, a 2002 Ferrari 360 Spider that I paid just $400 for, which is just wild to say that out loud. Well, along this journey, I've acquired some really, really cool cars. Some for $1,000, some for $30,000, and that's the fun part. To be honest with you, the $3,500 cars are my favorite. Yeah, having a $100,000 Ferrari sounds amazing. Try to repair it. Try to drive it. It's too fragile. You know what one of my favorites is? The 94 Honda Prelude SI with 200,000 miles. That is one of the most reliable cars in this entire lot. Now, among everything you see behind me, there's actually more. So I'm gonna go through those after I go through all of these cars and hopefully sell them all. I mean, I don't need them. I only have one ass. I can only drive one car at a time. If anyone out there is interested in any of these, hit me up on my website, www.flying-wheels.com. That's not what this video is about. Let's go check out our inventory. So as you can see, every car here is from the 90s. Why? Why do I have so many 90s cars? I'll tell you what, I used to make fun of my father who grew up in the 70s. He always wanted like Trans Ams and Camaros and King Cobra Mustangs. I used to make fun of my father for all the cars that he wanted when he was in high school. Fast forward, I'm at age now where I want every car that I wanted in high school. I'm a product of the 90s, and every time I see something that I wanted in high school that I couldn't get back then, I buy it, which is somewhat retail therapy and also just very unhealthy. Now, a lot of these cars have been in videos. I did a whole series on this 1995 Nissan Skyline GT ST-R 33. It is midnight purple to iridescent. It changes color in the sun. Now you can see from right here, it's purple, and then as I move, it turns green, and then purple again, and I kept the white wheels, and then you can see down here, it's green again. And one of my most favorite things about it is that it's right-hand drive. I want to give a special thanks to today's sponsor, Conflict of Nations. It's a strategy game set in the late 20th and 21st century, fielding present-day and highly modern battlefield technology. At the core of the game, it's an exciting real-time combat system, placing players in control of an existing nation of this world and its army, pitting them against other gamers in a struggle for the world domination. Again, it's live play, so I can log in. There are players from all over the world playing with me and against me, so it's a good time, and it's interactive at the same time. A game round usually takes weeks to complete, so I go back and forth to my game making tactical decisions. After all, it's modern war. It's about logistics as much as it is combat tactics. So it's a deep thought game. I mean, you're thinking and playing chess in this game, and it's a long-term game. It's a super smart game. It's a good time, and it requires a lot of thought. There's been a QR code this whole time. Right here, if you want to click on this QR code, you can download it in the Play Store or on the iTunes Apple Store. Click it, try it out. It's a good time. It makes me feel smart, like I have some strategy. Check it out. So thanks for watching. Today's video is sponsored by Conflict of Nations. Thank you very much, Conflict of Nations. Let's get on with the video. Now, I haven't started this car all season, aside from to pull it out of the garage and put it right here so it looks good in a photo. But I enjoy looking at it. It's right-hand drive, it's manual transmission, it's a turbo. This is my tuner car. So if I'm going to a car show with my brother and his GTR, this is the toy I get to drive. I love going backwards in drive-thrus with it. I love that when I go to the gas station, I get out on the wrong side and it just throws everybody off. This is a really cool car and one of my most favorite cars. Come to think of it, I have a feeling that I'm going to continuously say this is one of my most favorite cars throughout this whole series. But truthfully, this is one of my most favorite cars, and before this, I had a 1990 Nissan Fairlady Z, a 300ZX with T-tops, right-hand drive, manual transmission. I actually like that one more than this because it was an all original, clean Fairlady that was right-hand drive, and I loved the T-tops. It felt like kind of an old man's car, and I like that about it. Let's check out another vehicle. So you will see my 95 Nissan Skyline GT-ST. Rear-wheel drive, single turbo, RB25, inline 6-cylinder. Yours is an R32, generation before, GTR. I have a GT-ST, you have a GTR.
No big deal.
Differences, right? The same car. I mean, mine's newer.
Same car. It's
right?
like a Rolex and a Timex.
Is
Same
it?
watch.
Is it really that comfortable?
Exactly.
All right, so So GTR is significantly better than a GTST. For what reason?
Different engine, different chassis, so it's actually got a wider body on the GTR. So it's got the inline 6, but instead of a 2.5 in yours, this is a 2.6, which may not sound like much, but it's got individual throttle bodies, it's got twin turbos, it's got all-wheel drive, it's got all-wheel steering, which I think yours has as well.
Mine has Hickus.
Yep, it has Hickus, but it doesn't have a Tessa, which is the all-wheel drive system. And it's got the wider body, aluminum body panels, it's got the better wing, the better aero package. This one has some Nismo upgrades. You can see these are actually the R33 GTR seats. So I upgraded those. I got the Nismo wheel and Nismo shifter in here. Got my child safety seats just in case. There's a bunch of upgrades on the GTR that the GTSTs just don't have. That's what makes you want to spend more money.
All right, cool car.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for stopping by.
You too.
And showing off your ride.
Beautiful collection.
He also has an entire collection of 90s cars as well, so it's not just me. As you can see, I have 2 Dodge Vipers. There is 0 use for 2 Dodge Vipers. The green one, thankfully, is already sold. I bought it in Texas. I had it shipped up here. It was abandoned. We made it beautiful. And before it was even finished, but honestly, before I even started it, it was sold. Somebody local bought it, but it's still in my possession, which allows me to say it's still mine and I get to make this video. This is my 1993 Dodge Viper RT10 with 9,000 miles. Now, I had originally said everything's for sale, not for sale. When I was in high school, my cousin had this exact same car. He let me use it. Me and my friend took it up to the beach. We had a blast. We took it to a party. I even spun it out in the middle of the main street by accident. This car made a lot of memories for me in high school. Then in college, my father had one and he kept it through college and I bought one for myself. When I got married, my father let me borrow his. We had it. I took wedding photos with my wife and I in his red Dodge Viper. When I moved to Florida, I bought myself a red Dodge Viper. When my wife got pregnant, I had to sell it to move home and I bought myself another red Dodge Viper when I finally could afford one. This one has 9,000 miles. It is near perfect and it's probably something that I'll pass down to my kids when I pass away. Now here's what makes this car so special. When I was a kid growing up, this is a car that kids had on their walls. For example, I had 2 Hot Wheels of this identical car. And not just Hot Wheels, I had a poster and a calendar of this exact car. And that's what makes me so attached to this car. I take it out twice a year. I probably take it out to take it to my shop to go through it, change the oil, check the tire pressure and fluids, clean it up, get an inspection sticker, then I park it back in my garage and I might use it 1 other time per year. Now here's why. There's no door handles on the outside of this car. So to get in this car, you actually have to open the door right here to get in the car. Now what happens when the roof is on? I don't put the roof on. It is a pain in the ass to put on. So if I get caught in the rain, I'm in trouble because it stinks putting that roof on. It's difficult, it's not comfortable, and it's sag. But when the windows are on, yes, these are the windows, I have to zip it. You can see right here, a zipper to reach in to unlock and open the car. So yes, vinyl zip windows on a Dodge Viper. Now this car is as dumb as it gets. It's all muscle, no brain. There is no ABS, there's no traction control. It is just a powerful V10 to some gigantically wide tires that spin with no problem and lose control. That's why you see so many Dodge Vipers with reconstructed titles, not like this one. Right here, you can see how massively wide that tire is. Now as we go on, this is a 93 Dodge Viper. This is the first year with air conditioning. 92 was the first year, but it was more of a prototype, so there weren't a lot of them made. 93, they actually made them for mass production, kind of, and they come with air conditioning. Not that my air conditioning even works. 95, identical car, same wheels, same side pipes. Everything about this car is near identical to this one, except it's sapphire green, I think it's called sapphire green instead of red. Now there is another reason I don't drive this car often. My wife won't get in it. These are the side pipes. Now it sounds cool, literally sounds cool when I have the car running, and it sounds cool to say it has side pipes until you get out of the car. And when my wife steps out of the car in her dress on a night out, the first thing she does is touch her bare skin to the side pipes and burns the skin off her legs every single time. So she refuses to get in these cars. So luckily this one is sold. That's going to another buyer. This one stays in my collection. Let's go to another one of my favorites and the cheapest car I own in this collection. This right here is a 94 Honda Prelude SI. It is the most basic of all the cars I own. 4-cylinder VTEC, naturally aspirated, meaning non-turbo, front-wheel drive, Honda 5-speed. It does not get more reliable than a 90s Honda 5-speed. Here's a couple other cool things. California car. And not like Oceanside, California, like Ocean Desert. This car came from California. It was traded into Honda by the original owner. One owner, no accidents, extremely clean. Now I live in New England. These cars don't exist where I live now. Check out these floors. They are perfect. Like look, the exhaust still has the heat shield on them. And I guess every single car, I just have a respect for every one of them in a different way. And this Honda is one of those. And this, I actually drive more than any other car that I have in this collection because it starts every time I want it to start. It gets great gas mileage and it's still a head turner. Now this car has 204,000 miles. The AC still works. The original cassette player still works. It's a 5-speed manual transmission with cruise control. The sunroof still works and it's the original interior. You do not find all original cars from the 90s like this anymore. A lot of times they were like tuner cars that people added exhaust and wheels and different lighting, and this is a 100% original 1994 Honda Prelude SI down to the exhaust, which is amazing, and that's what makes this car one of my most favorite cars. By the way, did I mention it is the cheapest car I own in this entire collection, which makes me love it that much more. I knew I was gonna do it, and I'm gonna say it again. This right here is one of my most favorite cars. When I was in high school, one of the newest cars that I had ever owned was a 1997 Eagle Talon. Now this was owned and manufactured by Eagle, which is the DMC Corporation. It was the same as the Mitsubishi Eclipse, and it was the same as the Plymouth Laser. Something about this car that makes it even cooler is that right there, 16-valve dual overhead cam turbo, all-wheel drive. This car was an Evo before Evos. That's what makes this so awesome. Now I found this one in Connecticut from a viewer who's probably watching this, so Reba, if you're watching, I still love this car. It has 75,000 original miles. It's a 97, she bought it in 99, and she kept it in the garage. So this car to find, again, all original with the original exhaust, the original wheels, unmolested, is near impossible. And that's what makes it difficult to sell. I really love driving this car. I picked my kids up from soccer in it. Yesterday, instead of taking the Ferrari or the Viper, I picked my kids up from soccer in my Eagle Talon. It also has 2 rear seats, which is helpful because I have 3 kids. Now, the Mitsubishi Eclipse was an awesome car, and the GSX was incredible. The Eagle Talon TSI was the equivalent to the TSX. And the way you know it's the TSI is the all-wheel drive, the turbo, and this spoiler right here. Dodge Stealth did it with their spoilers here instead of the 3000 GT, which were sister cars. You'll see it doesn't extend out to the rear of the trunk like the Eclipse does. All right, the Honda Prelude was one of my cheapest in the collection, right? I might be wrong. I paid $1,000 for this Escalade at a dealer auction. It has a 6-liter LQ9 aluminum block LS V8. It is unbelievable, and it's powerful, and it's all-wheel drive, and it is by far the most comfortable car in my entire inventory. It also has the most reliable, strongest engine in my entire inventory. Now, I threw a set of 22s on it, and I took a Sawzall blade to it and cut the roof off. This car is so fun when I'm up north, and it tows my boat well, and it fits my kids, and it has a 3rd-row seat. This is what I take when I go to concerts. Now, it is a beater, and it's been under a cover all winter. I literally just uncovered it for this video. We have a lot of work to do this week to get it ready for summer, but this thing, I have no intentions of selling because it turns more heads than the Ferrari does. People just can't believe that I have a convertible Cadillac Escalade, and it's fun. It fits my whole family and tows my boat. The Cadillac Escalade is one of my most favorite cars. This is something I've never owned before and just wanted one. This is a 1994 Hummer H1 Civilian Edition. And yes, it's a convertible. I was down in Florida on vacation with my family. I wanted to shoot some content. I also wanted to be able to deduct right off some of my trips. So we went to a dealer auction, I shot some videos, and we needed to find a car for the auction to see what we can bring home because the seasons were changing. It's becoming summer. So as I was strolling through the auction, I found this Hummer. I've actually never seen one in real life, and I haven't had a Hummer in a while. So I have never owned a Hummer, so I bought a Hummer. Now I have a Hummer, and it's gigantic, and it's kind of fun, but the novelty's wearing off, and it's going on cars and bids soon unless somebody wants this car. It may already be gone, I don't know. Check out my website, www.flying-wheels.com. This has a 6.5-liter non-turbo GM diesel with a whopping 185 horsepower. I cannot get it over 55 miles an hour, but I will tell you, it turns heads everywhere I go, and I fell in love with these in the 90s because it was in a movie called Down to You with Chris Rock, and it was in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, this is a luxurious, really, really cool truck, and I've climbed walls like this in it. Although there's some novelty and some fun with it, it is completely useful on all-terrain, like off-roading, because it has just done things I've never done in an off-road vehicle before. But anyway, you get the point. I've had a lot of fun in this car. Last but not least, this car has been the bane of my existence. This is the oldest vehicle in my inventory right now, in my collection. It is a 1990 Eagle Talon TSI. Yes, all-wheel drive. Yes, turbo. Yes, 5-speed manual transmission. Here's what I love about this car. It is like a cockpit. So you'll see the steering wheel and all the gauges. Everything is so tight. Now, I bought this car like maybe 13 years ago on OfferUp. It has 82,000 miles and it was originally purple. I paid $1,800 for it and it ran and drove great. I did a full restoration on it. I have probably $10,000 into this car and I can't get it to run right. I've done injectors and I've done new turbo. It ran great until we tore it apart for the restoration, and now I still can't figure out how to get it running right, which is driving me nuts. It's been sitting in this spot for 6 months, and then every once in a while I get it running and I'll bring it to my shop and it sits there for 6 months, and then it goes in a trailer and then it comes back here. I've lost steam on it, sadly, and I really love this car. And the reason is, and when I was in high school, a friend of a friend had one of these, and it was snowing out, like blizzard weather conditions in New Hampshire, and no one was able to leave. This kid showed up in his Eagle Talon TSI all-wheel drive turbo and ripped us around town like it wasn't snowing at all. And his car was red, and since then, I've always loved these vehicles and I've always wanted one. And now I have one that I can't drive. Eventually I'll get it running again. I've invested more time and money and effort into this car than I have in any other car in history of owning cars, and I can't even use it. So yes, this is a 1990 Eagle Talon TSI. I never owned one of these until this one. This is the previous generation, Gen 1. That right there is Gen 3. Same car, similar engine, everything. Newer generation, very different body. Okay, this took me 2.5 years to acquire. I had told you it's our $400 Ferrari for our $400 Ferrari Flip Series. Buying Ferraris can be really, really dangerous. And a cheap Ferrari can be your most expensive Ferrari. Maintenance costs and repairs that are needed and everything. So I hunted this car down personally. I looked for Ferraris. I didn't just want to buy one at auction. I have auction access. I can buy one across the country. I don't know what I'm buying. I bought this car from a guy that owned it for 10 years. His brother owned it before him. He had every service record. He had 3 sets of keys, one being an Enzo key, same key as the Enzo Ferrari key. He had the cover for it. He had the rear like wind shade. He had everything that you would want when purchasing a Ferrari and checked every box as I went down the list. So I flew to West Palm Beach. I test drove the car. I handed him a check and I had the car shipped home. This is our Ferrari Flip car. It ties up a lot of money, like $100,000. So I really can't keep it because it just doesn't make sense for me to keep a car at that price tag. Even though it cost us $400, it's still, there's $100,000 sitting right here that could be invested a lot wiser than in a red car that I can only use 3-4 months a year in New Hampshire. So this one, I'm gonna try it on Cars and Bids or on Bring a Trailer. I don't know, we'll see. I've got to enjoy it, reached our goal. Next, if we sell this, I'd like to own a Lamborghini. I've never owned a Lamborghini. It would be fun to say that I own a $400 Lamborghini. And last but not least, now that you've seen these cars, I wanna give a shout out to a couple little cool tricks that I have up my sleeve in my garage. Pay no attention to the mess in the garage. I wanna show you what's on the wall. This right here is my bicycle collection from the 90s. So before cars, I had an obsession with bicycles, and I would buy bikes, fix bikes, clean bikes, sell or trade up to a different bike. Now my parents didn't go and just buy me bicycles, and that's probably why I have this like affinity for acquiring new things. I had to work for everything. I had to paint fences, I had to landscape, I had to do a lot of things to buy anything I wanted, including bikes that I never was able to acquire when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. When my friends were riding around in Harrows and Dynos and GTs, I had a Huffy, and that's probably why I wanted these bikes so much now. Coincidentally, I just said I was out driving a Huffy. This is my first cool bike, and not this one specifically. I sought out this bicycle. This is a Huffy Sonic 6. Now what makes this bicycle so cool? Shifter here, we have the number plate here. I still have the original pads on it, the original tires, and even though this is a BMX bike, it has gears, so I could change gears. Now, when I was 10 years old, it was a cool bike to me, and I bought another one because I always wanted one. Behind this is a GT Performer. Yes, it does have the gyro to spin the handlebars all around. It is chromoly, my GT, and it even has the original GT tires and the GT seat. Another thing I love, oh, but you know what I'm noticing? It has mongoose grips. A lot of times they came with like clear grips. This is a dyno comp. This is a dyno comp. This is similar to the GT Performer, the Dyno Air, the Dyno Comp, which is this, Dyno Air, Dyno Comp, same bike. Mags, spokes, only difference. Identical bike otherwise. This is the nicest bike I have in the entire collection. You can see my white GT tires are the original tires. And remember what I said about the grips? Check this out. Clear grips, dyno behind. This is my favorite bike in the collection. Now, I had told you I drove Huffies my whole life. I worked hard to get a nice bicycle and never owned any of these ones. After I saved enough, worked hard enough, I got my first name brand bike, and it still wasn't one of these. It was this. It was a Harrow Screamer, bright orange with shocks. Yes, my first BMX bike had shocks, and it was bright orange. I traded it up for something else when I was like 12 years old, and I missed it, so I found one that was way too much money, but I own one now. Move on to the future. I told you about GT Performers and Dyno Comps and Dyno Airs. This is a new old GT Performer. GT Performer, white wheels. This is like a 2015, 2016. It is a brand new like remake of the original bike. This one I don't use. I bought it. It has never seen anything on the ground. Put it together and it went up to just admire. I love the color. I love the tires. I love everything about it. Another one that was really difficult to get is a replica. This is a Mongoose Stranger Things edition. This is identical to a replica of what we would have ridden in the 80s, down to even the tire tread. Same thing, I bought it. It was hard to acquire. I put it together, I put it up on the wall. Now, when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, when I couldn't fit on a big BMX bike, this is what we rode. Before Razor scooters, they were full-size scooters. This is a Kent Super Scooter. GT and Dyno made them as well. This is like one of the least expensive brands of them, but this is a really fun scooter, and it's way quicker than Razor scooters that kids ride around on today. So this is a walk-around video of my bicycle collection. Now, that's not it just yet. There are a few honorable mentions that we're gonna talk about in a minute. I'm gonna put all these away because I think it's supposed to rain tonight, and I don't even have space for them. We're gonna put them away in my garage, my shop, my other shop, and try to find places for them. And I'm gonna show you a couple other cool cars that I have in storage places.
The next day.
All right, it's the next day. We are back in my shop, and I just have a few honorable mentions that I wanted to show you. There's something about 90s cars. I just can't get enough of them. Like this one right behind me. This is a 1995 Chevy Camaro with 49,000 miles. Original miles. People always ask, Craig, what do you mean original miles? Like, it's not doctored, it's not exempt, nobody fudged with the odometer. Here's my favorite part. Actually, there's so many things I love about this car. T-tops right there. Like, how cool is that? And they don't leak. And look at the rubber weather stripping. It's awesome. I just sold this thing today, so sorry anybody that's interested. Look at the tweed interior. This shreds so easily, and it's not shredded. The dashboard isn't cracked. Has the original radio and a CD player, I might add. For 1995, that's impressive. Usually it was cassette players. Now, here's a couple other things that I really like. These headlights, like this is such a retro thing. Look at, these are like, they got rid of flip-up headlights. Actually, they went to flip-up headlights in the Trans Am, but this is, I really like how the headlights look. I like the wheels. This car really makes me happy. Sadly, it's a 6-cylinder, but that doesn't matter to a lot of people. 49,000 miles. Oh, I want to show you my favorite part of this car. Going into the glove box. Check this out. So not only do I have the original books, that is such a 90s color, but check this out. Steve Fowler from Goodwin's Chevy Mazda Geo. I think that's so neat. I wonder who answers if I call them right now. I'm not going to though. All right, I have a couple more honorable mentions and then we can go from there. Again, you'll see my Ferrari over there. My Escalade is back at my shop. My CTSV, not a 90s car. I just have two more that I want to show you. And this one is probably the thing I've had the longest. It's not a car, but this is a Honda XR 650R Supermoto, or a motard. I bought this as an enduro, a dual sport 650R single cylinder, 650cc single cylinder. It's like coffee can for a cylinder wall. It does crazy wheelies. It goes 80 miles an hour, and I changed the wheels out. I did Excel wheels, Talon hubs, 320 millimeter rotor on it. This thing is so much fun. My best friend and myself bought these together. He bought the same one. He did an inverted fork, so it looks even cooler. We did graphics, we did rear fenders on it. Like, it's actually a street legal motorcycle that is faster than most street bikes in corners. Like, I was at the head of the pack when I was in my 20s. I was like in the front of the line going around turns ripping, because that thing just, I can lay it down and it handles so well, and then it wheelies out. And then last but not least is on the other side of my boat. This is just an honorable mention. This is a 1997 Ford Thunderbird, a T-Bird. Craig, why do you have this junker, this clunker here? There's a reason for it. A kid when I was in high school had this car. Dave, if you watch my videos, shout out to you. His dad had this car with chrome wheels and a 4.6 liter V8 in that red color. And the car was awesome. His dad would let him borrow it all the time. He'd do burnouts in it. I always liked that car. I came across this one in North Carolina. There is literally zero rust underneath. I mean, it's paint faded. It has aftermarket wheels, but the rocker panels and floors are perfect on it. And this also has a 4.6 liter V8. Now this needs some love. It needs a hood, it needs a fender, it needs wheels, it needs exhaust, it needs interior. I bought this thing like 4 or 5 months ago. I haven't touched it. I parked it there, haven't done a thing with it. I have too many projects. So as you can see, look at 3/10/2023. That's when I bought it. So I bought it in March. Now we're in summer. That's how long it's been sitting. So you can see I have an affinity for 90s things. I was a product of the 90s. I played Nintendo, Super NES, Sega Genesis. I had gigantic skateboards that were single finned, BMX bikes, like you name it. I'm a kid of the 90s. I can sing along with every rap song and tell you every TLC song, even or sing a Britney Spears song. Don't tell anybody I said that. I just can't help it. And then you can see, like, when you get adult money, you start buying adult things and you don't necessarily need all this nonsense. I'm gonna start to sell all these. And to be honest with you, by the time this video comes out, the Camaro's sold already. Hopefully the Hummer has sold already. There's a lot of cars that like may have already gone. I don't even know because I shot this video in June, depending on when this video comes out, just so you know. So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the support always. Today's video is sponsored by Conflict of Nations. Thank you very much, Conflict of Nations. There's been a QR code this whole time right here. If you want to click on this QR code, you can download it in the Play Store or on the iTunes Apple Store. I would love to know what your favorite car was for you personally and in my collection in the comments down below. I'll see y'all later. Adios.